To start with, toilet wine is actually a misnomer. The toilet isn't where the magic happens. It's just a hiding spot. And what's in there? Definitely not anything you'd call wine in the traditional sense. Sean Diddy Combs isn't the first inmate to get busted with it, but his situation is getting more attention than usual. Diddy had just started serving his sentence, officially marking the beginning of what was supposed to be a new chapter in his life. But reports suggest things are far from smooth. In the middle of his early days behind bars, he allegedly got caught sipping on homemade alcohol, something that prison veterans know as toilet wine. It's a strange, almost ritualistic part of prison culture, and TMZ reported that this incident happened right around his birthday, adding an ironic twist. Officials were initially planning to move him to a new unit as punishment, though that reportedly didn't happen. Either way, the question now hanging over his head is whether this incident undermines his much-publicized vow to sobriety, which he had claimed to have embraced for the first time in 25 years during his sentencing. Just weeks before he was locked up, Diddy had written a heartfelt letter to Judge Arun Subramanian, pleading for mercy. In that letter, he painted a picture of a man turning over a new leaf, of someone finally taking responsibility for his actions and trying to live differently. And now, seeing reports of him caught with prison-made alcohol, people are questioning if any of that was genuine. Sources close to the prison have explained that Diddy got into trouble at Fort Dix, the New Jersey facility where he's serving a 4-year sentence for prostitution-related charges. Former federal inmate Gene Burlow even weighed in on how someone like Diddy might have pulled this off. The method isn't exactly what the average person imagines. The alcohol isn't brewed in the bowl, but rather in a plastic bag, often hidden in the toilet tank. It's out of view of the guards, and the process can take days. The smell is strong, the concoction potent, and the risks are serious. A poorly managed batch can even explode like a small bomb. For Diddy, getting caught carries serious consequences, losing commissary, phone privileges, visitation rights, and potentially spending time in solitary confinement. The fact that Diddy could even consider it raises eyebrows. In federal prisons, everything operates like a miniature economy, and it's possible he paid someone to make the batch for him. With a birthday coming up, it's a small indulgence, but one that carries big risks. Some argue that he could have simply had someone smuggle in a bottle of actual alcohol, yet he opted for the homemade route. It's a stark reminder of how life in prison is a far cry from the world he once ruled, throwing wild parties, living under the bright lights, and navigating the music industry. Now, he's wearing a gray beanie, a thick blue coat, and a scruffy beard that makes him look older than his years. Recent images from the yard show him interacting with other inmates, a shadow of the man who once dominated charts and red carpets. Before prison, Diddy's letters reflected genuine introspection. He admitted to losing his mind, blaming alcohol and drugs, and acknowledging a selfishness that led to his downfall. He spoke of being humbled and broken, of a new version of himself being born behind bars. But just as soon as he entered Fort Dix, reports of incidents started to surface. Rumors swirled about him being attacked, waking up to a knife at his throat. Though this version circulated in the media, insiders painted a different picture. Raymond Castillo, a fellow inmate, clarified that the incident was far less dramatic than reported. It stemmed from a dispute over a chair while watching television. A West Coast gang member, serving 30 years, became hostile, and while he did attempt to escalate with a knife, Diddy's calm demeanor and ability to diffuse the tension prevented what could have been a violent outcome. Instead of reacting with fear or aggression, Diddy tried to talk the man down, even offering to pray with him. The tension dissipated without anyone getting hurt, a testament to a side of Diddy rarely seen in public. Despite this, Diddy's notoriety continues to make him a target. Many believe the attention he garners in prison is because of the information he might hold, linking back to some of the darkest corners of the music industry and beyond. Allegations have emerged tying him to Epstein-esque activity, blackmail, and surveillance of powerful individuals. These are claims no one can ignore, especially considering that the FBI and Homeland Security executed raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami, uncovering hidden cameras and potentially hundreds of hours of compromising footage. The official reasoning is rooted in human trafficking and other serious charges, but the web of connections and speculation suggests there's more beneath the surface. For now, Diddy's official release date is May 8, 2028, but with good behavior credits, prison programs, and the possibility of an appeal, that timeline could shift dramatically. Recently, a judge fast-tracked his appeal, a move that could shave months off his sentence if successful. His legal team has until December 23rd to file their brief, with the government responding by February 20th. and one final reply from Diddy's team due by March 13th. If everything goes according to schedule, oral arguments could take place as early as April. Meanwhile, Diddy reportedly tells fellow inmates he expects a pardon from former President Donald Trump early next year, a claim insiders have corroborated. Whether this is fact, hopeful optimism, or strategic maneuvering remains to be seen. Diddy's time in prison isn't just about avoiding trouble. It's about navigating a system where every relationship, every favor, and every action matters. Ex-mob member Michael Francis has speculated that Diddy might find it easier than most due to his resources and the perception of being a money guy. Inmates often see value in aligning with someone who has influence or the ability to provide benefits. In medium-security facilities like Fort Dix, violence is less common than in high-security prisons, and Diddy could potentially use his status to maintain safety. But his wealth and fame can also make him a target, and the layers of risk are constant. There are also whispers of a backdoor arrangement between Diddy and the federal government, fueled by the pattern of concessions he's received amid ongoing investigations and potential pardon speculation. Rumors that he was approached by federal agents as early as 1991 add a historical dimension to the narrative, suggesting he's been operating in a shadowy space far longer than most realize. Some even compare his operations in the music and entertainment world to Epstein's in finance and politics, though those claims are mostly speculative. The notion is that Diddy, through private footage and surveillance, may have wielded power over influential figures, a possibility that would explain the extraordinary measures taken during investigations. Even the human element can't be ignored. Alleged connections to Tupac's death and the resurfacing of Keefe D trial details further complicate the picture. Diddy's incarceration is not simply a legal matter. It's a tangled web involving high-profile cases, potential blackmail, and unresolved questions about power, influence, and accountability. Those who have followed these developments note that Diddy's downfall has been public and humiliating, but there's still a sense that he could be useful to certain entities, providing leverage or information in exchange for leniency. The media narrative often misses the nuances. Early reports exaggerated incidents, like the knife encounter, painting Diddy as a victim or highlighting supposed instability. In reality, insiders suggest he is navigating prison life strategically, avoiding drugs and negative interactions, diffusing potentially violent situations, and maintaining a level of control where possible. For a man who once commanded the music industry, this is a new form of influence, measured in subtle gestures and social navigation rather than chart-topping albums or multi-million-dollar deals. In terms of the alcohol incident, it's emblematic of prison life and the challenges even high-profile inmates face. Toilet wine, brewed in secret, is not just a drink but a risk, a statement, a link to normalcy in an otherwise constrained environment. Whether Diddy's consumption was a slip in judgment, a birthday indulgence, or a calculated social move, it highlights the contradictions of his current life, a man once untouchable now subject to the rules, risks, and limitations of incarceration. Through all of this, one thing is clear: Diddy's story is far from over. Appeals are pending, potential pardons are being whispered about, and his legal and personal maneuvering continues. Meanwhile, the federal government maintains evidence that could extend his control over the narrative, leverage that could be used to secure cooperation or further complicate his situation. Outside of prison, public perception has shifted, businesses have been affected, and the entertainment landscape watches closely, analyzing every move. Even in confinement, Diddy seems to remain a player. Sources suggest he's engaging with fellow inmates, navigating the social economy of prison, and perhaps even shaping outcomes through influence, money, or strategic relationships. This is a different kind of power than he wielded in the music industry, but in some ways, it's equally complex and demanding. There's risk, intrigue, and opportunity in equal measure, and how Diddy manages it could define his freedom or his continued confinement. At the end of the day, Diddy's time behind bars is more than a legal sentence. It's a story of adaptation, resilience, and survival. From birthday drinks made in toilet tanks to rumored attacks and ongoing appeals, the narrative is layered and ongoing. Questions about power, influence, blackmail, and media manipulation swirl around him, making his journey in prison a spectacle that captivates public attention. How he navigates the system, how he interacts with inmates, how he handles the constant scrutiny, and how his legal team maneuvers on his behalf will ultimately determine the next chapters of his life. For now, though, Diddy remains a man in transition, operating in a world both familiar and foreign, with freedom potentially on the horizon, but only time will tell whether he reaches it sooner than expected or remains entangled in the very system he once seemed untouchable from.